Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Greene. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Greene is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
49 faces looked to him in triumph. Over the last 12 months, they had each taken turns and promoted his business for a week at a time, driving over $987,342 in revenue. What if you had a network of 50 centers of influence who promoted your business every week for a year? Grab your copy of the #1 Amazon best-selling book, The Ultimate Guide to Growing Your Business with a Podcast, at 33% off the Amazon price by going to ultimatepodcastbook.com. Again, that website for 33% off the Amazon price is ultimatepodcastbook.com.
Welcome to the podcast. This is your co-host, Seth Greene. Today, I've got the good fortune to have Raymond Paul Johnson with me. Ray has been chosen a super lawyer by Los Angeles Magazine every year since 2006. He's the co-author of Defective Product, Evidence to Verdict, hailed by Ralph Nader as the battle plan for travel lawyers across the country. He served as a legal consultant to the LA Times, USA Today, New York Times, and been interviewed on CNN, NBC, Nightly News, and other televised programs. He has written a legal thriller that is absolutely chilling. You have to read it, called Conspiracy Ignited, a CIA combat pilot turned lawyer, a secret society taking over American courts. Can one man and a few friends prevent justice from disappearing in America? It's an award-winning thriller. Ray, thank you so much for joining us.
Seth, thank you for inviting me. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, let's go. I know we're here to talk about the book, but I got to ask, what inspired you to go to law school and become a lawyer in the first place?
Perry Mason. Have you ever?
Yes.
Yeah. No, actually, partly. But the big thing was I had a high school teacher. It all goes back to high school, right? And when I told her I was going to NYU and take aerospace engineering and become a pilot, she laughed at me. So I said, "Why are you laughing?" And she said, "I know you. You've been my student for 2 years. You're going to be a lawyer or a writer, but I don't think you'll ever be an engineer or a pilot." And so I took that as a challenge and I went that route, but then I did a U-turn and went to law school, William & Mary in Williamsburg, Virginia.
You served as a combat pilot, functional test pilot in the Air Force, paramilitary pilot in Laos and Cambodia with the CIA. You have a Distinguished Flying Cross, 5 Air Medals, Meritorious Service Medal, and other awards. First of all, thank you for your service. And second of all, given the plot of the book, I got to believe that some of your experience in the military and in the CIA informed the book. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it sure does. The protagonist is Eric Ridge, a lawyer, but he also happens to be a pilot with a military background. Just a coincidence, by the way. And as the heat rises in the book, which happens, starts out hot and gets hotter, he falls into a PTSD trap. And PTSD, which he had suffered with, but not for years and years and years, comes back. And he has to deal with that. That allowed me to do some what reviewers call seamless flashbacks. So, he's being literally harassed in his new life by the bad guys in the book. And he, at night, has a lot of trouble, goes back into flashbacks, which are based on things that I actually witnessed in wartime. And I was working with the CIA.
That is absolutely incredible. There's so much that there's basis in reality for the fiction that you have wrote, which, how'd you get it? Do you have to deal with any issues? And is some of this stuff classified? And how'd you get to be able to write about it?
Well, it's years later, and of course it's fictionalized.
Of course.
But coming up with the ideas, I'm what they call a pantser. A pantser is a person who writes by the seat of his pants. A famous one might be Michael Connelly, for instance. He's a pantser. The opposite is an outliner, someone who outlines their books and then fills in. And that would be James Patterson is a well-known outliner. But I'm a pantser because I love the thrill of not knowing where the plot's going. I let the characters take me. So in writing it, I literally start out a chapter, I start out a scene. I don't know where it's going to end. I let the characters take me there. Hemingway was that way. And Hemingway also said, write what you know. I've taken that to heart. And so the book does reflect reality in that sense. In fact, on the legal side, I really went out of my way because I wanted readers to see what it is to really practice civil litigation, major, big civil litigation against Fortune 500 companies. And so I've had even legal reviewers say that, I remember one in particular, she said, and she's a lawyer herself, she said, the bad guys in Johnson's book are really, really bad. The good guys are really, really real. And so that's intentional. I want that to reflect the reality so that a person who is thinking about becoming a lawyer or wondering why he or she didn't become a lawyer could read the book and maybe get a little more feedback on what that experience is like.
So that's fascinating because you cover so much in the book in so many different areas that you could literally use that. There could be a text, there could be a class in law school taught about mass tort litigation at that level. You could, it also reads like a page turning John Grisham thriller. So anyone who reads it just for the pure pleasure of it, knowing nothing about mass tort law, would absolutely love it. What inspired you to write it in the first place, other than living some of it? Like, what made you say, I got to write, there's a book in me, I got to write this story?
My high school teacher, she told me I was a writer. And no, I mean, yes, to an extent. But really what happened was I tried to write it while I was practicing. And that's really hard because I did trials all over the country I'm still practicing in a sense, but 35 plus years. So, I was writing on airplanes. I mean, rather than talk to the person next to me, I'm sitting there like a nerd writing. But it wasn't coming together. And so when COVID hit, that was my opportunity to crank back my practice and go full-time writer. And that's what I did. And then it came together. So
that is
part-time work sometimes doesn't work.
very true. That is absolutely incredible that you were able to pull this off. I mean, it's been so well received. Did you have any vision for when you were writing and trying to pull it together that it would go this far? Or what, is this all a surprise to you?
Well, what happened was I published nonfiction, a lot of it before, and including a treatise. I was principal co-author on a legal treatise, but never did fiction. And I thought in my own little world that since I knew people in nonfiction, I could call my agent, I could call my publisher, and they'll send me over to some fiction people. Doesn't work that way. Nonfiction people don't even talk to fiction people. They have no connections at all. It's incredible, actually. They go to different conferences and things. So I was on my own, and I looked at it and I found out how to do it, which is called query lettering. I don't know if you ever heard of that, but that's a whole hell on earth.
It is.
You write
all the rejections.
Yeah, you write cold letters to agents you don't know and ask them to be your agent. That'll work. So I'm watching through the International Thriller Writers. I became a member of it, and I'm watching James Lee Burke. James Lee Burke is my opinion of the master of crime fiction in the world. He's about 85 now. I just read his last book. It's as good as when he was in his 50s writing them. But anyway, James Lee was being interviewed, and I was on the panel, and someone asked him, well, Mr. Burke, you never got rejected, right? And he said, 385 times straight out of the barrel. And when I heard that, I said, querying isn't going to hack it. I could get 2,000, 3,000 rejections easily doing that if he can get 385. But what I did was I just took the transcript when it was ready, the best I could do. I entered valid competitions. That's not one that charge a lot to enter. That's an invalid competition. I'm talking about $25, $50 entry fees for administration, and you compete against published and unpublished manuscripts. I won. First one was called the Maxi Book Award, and I became top 5 thriller finalists. And then one of the more interesting ones was the Clive Cussler International Competition. I don't know if you've heard of Clive Cussler, very famous adventure action writer. And his son Dirk established a foundation, and they have an international competition. So I said, what the heck? I've got a legal thriller, but it's got a lot of action and adventure. I'll throw it in there. And sure enough, I came out as a top 10 selection. Well, things didn't stop there. I entered a thing called the Clue Award, which is done by Chanticleer International Book Awards. And I sat back and waited, and I got first place in thriller. At that point, the word gets out automatically. Agents were calling me, publishers were calling me, and that's the story.
That is absolutely incredible. What a journey. Am I allowed to ask, is there a possible movie in the works?
Yeah, well, my agent's working that problem right now. Dean, where are you? Dean Kreistic of WordLink is my agent. He's also the director there, and he's doing the movie options. With my publisher now, we just are going forward with the audiobook. And let me tell you, it's very interesting with the audiobook because it's not a matter of an author sitting down and narrating. You actually put it out for bid, and then voice actors bid on. We had 22 people wanting to do the audiobook. So we've been sifting through those samples, and we're down to about 5 now. We'll get it down to 3 and then 1, and then we'll go ahead with the audiobook soon. Yeah.
Well, can't wait. That is absolutely incredible. What's next?
Next is I'm halfway through the second book in the Eric Ridge thriller series. Really interesting to do. Similar characters, same characters actually, other than the ones that died in the first one. And I can tell you Eric Ridge makes it through. He's the hero, right? And his buddy, who is an interesting character, it's his private investigator best friend named Terry Powell. And Terry, the reviews I've got, people like Eric Ridge a lot, but they love Terry Powell. So who knows? Maybe he gets his own book someday. Yeah.
Your lips to God's ears.
Yeah.
Well, where can our folks go who are interested to learn more and about you and, of course, get the book?
Best place is my author's website. I mean, I have a legal website and an author's website, but the author's website is at my name, RaymondPaulJohnson.com. So it's easy. And I've got background on me, background on the book, reviews. All the reviews are there. I think they make pretty interesting reading. And it talks about the awards and other things, and a photo gallery. So, it's a novel. It doesn't have illustrations in it, but there is a photo gallery that's connected with its development. And so that's
congratulations on all the success and writing an incredible novel. I can't wait to read the next one when it comes out. This has been Seth Greene with Raymond Paul Johnson. The book is Conspiracy Ignited. Go check him out at RaymondPaulJohnson.com. Ray, thanks so much for joining us.
Got it. Thanks, Seth. Thanks for asking.
Thanks everybody for watching or listening. We will talk to you or see you next time.
Why do so many businesses struggle while others seem to explode overnight? Do you wish you had the secret to this type of exponential growth? Now, I've scaled more than 20 businesses to over $100 million, and it's not just luck. In my new book with Mark Tim, Mentor to Millions, you'll learn the repeatable framework I use in all my business ventures for massive success. Order at kevinmentor.com and get over $1,000 in bonuses. Head to kevinmentor.com.